And that was Thank Ghost, It's Monday. And here I am now with Mr. Chris Kendall. Welcome, Chris.
Thank you.
Now, Chris is playing Prospero in our Telluride Theater version of The Tempest. So, but you are not of Telluride. The last time you were in Telluride was when?
It was 40 years ago.
40.
Yeah.
So just slight changes here and there?
A bit, yeah. It looks much the same. I mean, the town can't grow sideways, so it just fills up more.
Just slightly larger houses and those kind of things, and closer together. Did you go to Town Park 40 years ago? Do you remember it?
No, I don't remember being there. We just drove through. I was working for the health department, and we drove up here just to see it because we were stationed in Gunnison.
That's right. Now, and I want to talk about that for a second because you were not an actor originally. And I say originally in the sense of or did you go to college for it?
I did.
Yes. Okay. So you did, but then you ended up working for the health department.
I did a lot of different things.
You went to New York for a while.
I did, and became a computer programmer.
So you were acting in a different sense.
Yeah, I was acting too. I mean, I took lessons there, and we had a small theater group. So I always was doing it, but it was easier to earn a living elsewhere.
Totally. And you were in and out of it, and in and out of it, and then you eventually met somebody maybe and came back to Denver. Yes.
That wasn't exactly how it happened.
Okay.
But yeah, I moved back to Denver sometime in the early '90s and began doing theater here. I had done theater here before going to New York, but
and you were a decorated Denver actor, I would say now.
Now, yeah, I guess.
People know your name. You won a Best Actor for a Westward Award, right? Is that right?
Westward, I won Best Season for an Actor in 2015, and I've won a couple of the Colorado Theater Guild Henry Awards.
Yes, and John Moore has written you up,
John Moore too. Yeah.
Yeah, John Moore, who if anybody knows John Moore, he's kind of the premier. He's been the premier Denver writer.
He's the reason I got this show.
That's right. That's right. Full disclosure, I cast the show and directed it, but Chris was a friend of a friend that had been recommended. But if you look up Chris Kendall's name, you'll find a really beautiful, glowing review from John. So talk to me about some of the acting that you did in Denver prior to this. What was one of the favorite roles that you had?
Oh, recently I did an Aaron Posner play, District Merchants, at Miners Alley. And I don't know if you're familiar with Aaron Posner.
I'm familiar with Aaron, but not.
No, this is his latest play, and it's sort of a reinterpretation of The Merchant of Venice. And I played Shylock, and that was a lot of fun. It was a good time.
That's great. And then in the last Tempest, you played in the Tempest before, but you were not Prospero.
No, I was Alonzo.
You were Alonzo
with the Colorado Shakespeare Festival,
which is sort of the evil king. No, maybe the confused
just
king.
Confused. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's just misunderstood.
And speaking of understanding, I guess. We come around to me asking you about Prospero, because Prospero is really a legacy character in terms of an actor's life, being able to play him.
Yeah.
What have you found about him?
Well, he has a lot more layers than I suspected when I first started working on this script. In a way, he's kind of an everyman. You get the story of his life. He's been an enormous political success and a scholar and a father and becomes a magician kind of by trade. I mean, he's interested in metaphysics and he does deep studies in the dark arts, I guess you would call them. But he's betrayed, he loses everything. It's basically the arc of a human life. For all of us, life is about loss, and until we suffer loss and we learn to deal with that, we don't become fully human. And I think that's where he completes the journey at the end of the play. Is he puts his resentment aside though in the case of his Antonia, not necessarily all that successfully, but
that's his evil sister.
His evil sister,
yeah,
his brother in the original.
His brother in the original, yeah.
And so there's a full arc to it. There's nothing missing of what we consider the essential elements of a human life. So it's been a great journey. And as I was saying earlier, I don't have to run and jump and yell at anybody.
That's right.
I just wave a stick and people do what I want. So.
That's right. That's right. You have a very fancy stick.
Yeah.
Within the play, he has Prospero sort of gotten stuck on this island, and he's befriended a couple of the creatures that live on this island, which are all sort of pseudo-magical creatures. And then he's sort of gone from being their friend to being their master. Is that a thing that, in terms of the way you look at him as a character or as a human, is that a thing that you see other humans being capable of, even if they're good people?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a strong undercurrent of colonial politics in the thing. The way he treats Caliban, for example, which is rather atrociously. Even the way he treats Ariel, whom he loves, he's simply imperious toward these characters because he has the power to command them. And I think that's a trap for anyone. Power is something that eats away at the soul if you don't learn to use it properly. And I think by the end of the play, because he's come full circle, he's got his dukedom back and things are turning out his way, that he arrives at a better understanding of his relationship with those that he has been ordering about for 20 years.
So, Chris, you've come to do this with us here in Telluride. What's that experience been like? Have you done, it's almost summer stock, I guess you would say, but...
Yeah, it's been a really good experience. Getting to know Telluride as a town has been very interesting. It's taken me some weeks to find out where all the charm is in this place. But I have. I really love the town now, and I don't like being away from home. Frankly, I don't like working on the road, and I usually will turn down work if it entails a long period away from home. But this was an opportunity I couldn't pass up to play Prospero and to work with a new company. That has been very welcoming, and it's been a great experience.
Well, we're really glad that you came, and audiences so far have been really glad that you came, as Prospero is for very much of the play driving the bus, as we say in the theater. He's got 650 lines. Everybody else kind of tops out at around 150. So that was a long process for you, and we thank you for coming. I guess the only thing I could say to the audience is come and see Chris. The only way that you could do that probably at this point is to go online and buy some tickets, because we sold out the first half of the run, and the second half of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday is coming up. So if they come, will you perform for them?
Certainly.
Thanks a lot for being here, Chris.
My pleasure.
Yeah.